But football and retirement actually have a lot in common as well.
They do.
Nothing to do with Taylor Swift this time.
They do. Number one, it can be a long season. And, I was watching the Bengals play the other night. I'd been down in Nashville, got home, and as normal at the Taylor house, there was a pile of laundry that, I can't expect Kristen to keep up with all of it on her own. So it's kind of a team effort.
There
So
are 3 loads of laundry done a day.
it's crazy. So I dump stuff on the couch in the living room, then I'll turn on a TV show or whatever. So there's a football game on while I was folding laundry. And so they were talking about all the injuries to the line and how it's a 17-game regular season now. And, it's a long season. And you have to prepare for perhaps 20 to 30 years of retirement.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And you really do. And so you can't just, run out of the gate and think, okay, I can spend all the money I want, just throw caution to the wind, go do whatever I want. That might not work out. Or I don't want people to be the opposite way. It's going to be 30 years perhaps, and so I can't spend anything. I can't do anything. I don't feel I can go anywhere, any of those things. So it's kind of that balance, and that's where planning really comes in.
Well, you have to plan ahead, but, and expecting that the unexpected could occur, correct?
For sure.
I know the other day a lot of people don't know this about me, but I enjoy photography. That's kind of what if you could just do anything you wanted and it didn't matter if you made money and you could just pick whoever you took pictures of, I would do photography.
Of your own kids and make money.
And of good-looking kids, there's certain kids I like taking pictures of. I see people out in public and I'm thinking, man, I'd like to take their picture. That's just how my brain thinks.
Creeper.
I know, no, I don't, not a creeper. I know you can't go up to people's kids and say that, but that's sometimes I want to. But all joking aside, I was taking some pictures of one of Christian's friends, Greg, and Jordan. He's a goofball, and poor kid, he's played football 4 years, and one of the second or third game of the season, early in the season games, he injured his arm. And dislocated it, tore ligaments. I mean, this is not just a broken arm injury. This is like a major rehabilitation. Season's over. And I'm sure he didn't expect that in his fourth year, his senior year playing football.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be his greatest year. He's had all of his football career, and he's out.
He is out for the season and probably out for his career now.
Yeah. And so expecting the unexpected, like you don't want to walk through life expecting to tear a ligament in your arm, but like knowing that you might have things that happen, and when it comes to finances, that would be like market fluctuations.
Yes. Imagine the poor people that retired in 2008. They built the nest egg their entire lifetime. They're excited to retire. They're looking forward to new adventures. And the first new adventure they experience is a 40% drop in their portfolio.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you imagine this, you retired with $1 million and after a year you have 600,000 left. I mean, that could be very potentially devastating. Or the people that retired in 2000 where the market, that was the dot-com bubble. Everything in the 90s was hunky-dory and great and wonderful, and 2000 comes and it's at Y2K. Remember all the stuff about that? And it happened. It was the dot-com bubble. So the trouble with just doing things the way you did them during your working life is that things, when you're taking money out,
Right.
don't work the same way as they do when you're putting money in, especially in volatile investments. So it could be market fluctuations. It could be healthcare problems. It could be taxes. It could be a number of things that we weren't expecting. All of a sudden we're facing those things, and we have to really account for those things, because if you don't account for the unexpected in a football game, you're going to lose. And that's what happened against Oregon last weekend. We didn't expect them to throw the 12th man out on the field to have that extra defender, but we didn't get that 6 seconds of time back. And 6 seconds could have been all the difference in the world, whether we lost that game, which we did, or possibly could have won that game. And we don't want little things or big things to derail our retirement.
Well, and that's where it gets back to what we talked about earlier in the show about how, you should really have that plan up front, because if you don't have a plan to manipulate, then how do you even recover? Like I remember during the game, and I'm obviously not good about football. I don't know all the rules and all that, but I do know that when they call those timeouts in the middle of chaos like that, it's to regroup and figure out a game plan, right? To adjust
It
things.
is to make sure you have a winning game plan. And we just met with someone last week, and it was an interesting couple. They had been retired for 11 years, and they began working with an advisor 11 years ago, and it wasn't working. They gave them 11 years, and they'd made no money in 11 years, and those
Wait
were,
a in 11 years?
yes,
Whoa.
made no money. Their portfolio was a mess. And when we tested it, there's something called alpha that we test, and alpha gives you what's called your risk-adjusted returns. And if the alpha is positive, that means your returns are outweighing the losses in your risk. If your alpha is negative, that means that your bad or down performance or your losses are outweighing your upside performance. And so this couple had a negative over 6 in their portfolio. Their alpha was awful. Their Sharpe ratio, which tells you overall how efficient you are, was awful. And their drawdown, meaning how much it could have dropped, was huge, over 30%. So they were taking all this risk, but they weren't getting rewarded for it. So I said, okay, you could say it's halftime here. We're making halftime adjustments now. What's happened in the last 11 years hasn't worked for you. So you could continue the same path you're on and expect a different result, but I think they call that insanity.
Same thing over and over.
Yes. I said, or we can make some adjustments. And they're like, we're ready. We're ready to make some adjustments. We're ready to have a plan. And by the way, when it was all said and done, when I showed them what I had in mind, they're like, oh, this is a plan. I said, yes, we have a plan to make your investments more consistent. We have a plan for your income, so now you know exactly where your paychecks are coming from. We have a plan for tax reduction, so we now have a strategy for Roth conversions
Yep.
and reducing taxes in the future. We have a plan for health care, so if either of you go to a nursing home or need home care, we've got a plan to help you pay for that. And by the way, we have a plan to keep all your assets out of probate when you and your spouse pass away. Now your kids aren't going to have all that hassle.
Sounds like special teams.
Special teams. Ooh, look at you.
Kristen Taylor.
Throwing it out there.
I'm shocked.
So your plan's got to be flexible, and you realize that you need a good offense and a good defense.